welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Glenn Grober. Thank you for joining me. A wonderful show for you today. We'll hear from a longtime editor, first-time director, Saar Klein. We'll take a look at the tourism industry surrounding Breaking Bad. And we'll hear of the comeback of the public libraries in Israel. Saar Klein has been working in the film business for more than 20 years, making quite a name for himself as a film editor. He was nominated twice for an Academy Award, once for Almost Famous, once for The Thin Red Line. This year, he made his directorial debut, his film After the Fall, known outside of the U.S. as Things People Do, starring Wes Bentley and Jason Isaacs, opens this week in select cinemas and is also available through VOD. Very happy to have Saar Klein now via Skype from New York. Saar, thanks so much for speaking to us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So I gotta ask, what possessed you to leave the comfort of the editing room and start waking up early to go on set?
The glory, the fame, the money, that's not true at all. It's the opposite is true. I just been editing for about 20 years and always wanted to direct and challenge myself beyond the editing room and work with cameramen and actors and costume designers and makeup artists and just sort of put myself in a little bit more of a dangerous zone and challenge myself. And I always had a desire to actually direct. It's when I got into the business of filmmaking, my opening happened to be in editing, and I spent a good 15, 20 years doing that before I could really organize myself enough and to direct a film, which was my dream, really.
Right. Now, editing is a one-man job, while directing is anything but. How hard was it to suddenly rely on other people, give up that total control?
It was difficult, but incredibly rewarding as well to be able to rely on some other people and their expertise and to just sort of try to get the best out of other people. That's part of what directing is about. It's not about you're not going to be the best cinematographer, you're not going to be the best makeup artist, but you can pick people that you think are very talented, and the collective experience becomes so much richer.
Yeah. Now, you worked with some major directors in the past, like Terrence Malick, for instance. What did you learn?
I picked up different things from different people. From Terrence Malick, I picked up his love of finding something magical in the actual shooting, not necessarily setting everything up and being so tight about, like, this is exactly what it's going to look like. It's more about setting the situation and watching it and letting it develop and then learning from it. That was a real philosophy that we kind of started using, which was, basically creating the situation, the setting, the atmosphere, and then watching it evolve and adjusting to it.
Right. Now, in the film, we witnessed the personal downfall of the main character, and a big part of it is financial, which I guess in this point in time makes the film quite political. Were you aiming to make a film with a political message?
Primarily, I was trying to tell a human story. It just happened to fall into that political realm at the time in America when this was happening. Actually, I started writing it before the economic downturn. And then the economic, I'd love to say I predicted it, but it was just sort of like, that's a very common family struggle for a man with a family, is a financial one that's universal. Whatever nation, culture, color you are, you can understand that. I actually try to sort of keep my political views out of the film and let people develop their own or explore their own. I didn't want to make a political film. I wanted to make a human film about morality and family and the difficult decisions that we have to make. But strangely, the politics of it really come out, and they must have come out of me to the film. And there's different reactions in different countries that I go to the politics, you know, like in Europe. People are always ask questions about, like, the demise of the American dream. Well, in America, not so much, you know, so it definitely is a litmus test for what country you're in and their attitude about American culture, American economy, American, you know, morality and attitudes.
Now, speaking of how it's seen in different countries, you showed it in various festivals, among them the Jerusalem Film Festival. Now, as someone who was born here in Israel, has family here, did that screening have a special significance for you?
No, it had a very special significance for me because I left when I was 9. I was born in Jerusalem. I got to go, I think it was maybe the second time I'd been there since my birth, and spend a little time there and meet some other filmmakers from around the world, but also Israeli filmmakers. And it was a really, it was a very interesting sort of experience to return to where I came from. And people from my mom's kibbutz came and, kind of recognized me. And, very emotional to actually see me come back and make the film. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Looking back, you shot the film in New Mexico, which is a popular location these days, but one that is very recognized with one specific show that even has some similarities to your film. Were you thinking about it while making it?
No, when I was making the film and I was in pre-production and when I was writing it, or pretty far along, somebody said, "Oh, there's this show called Breaking Bad." I mean, it's kind of like the same thing, and I ignored it for a while, and did not watch it. And then I watched it a little bit later because I didn't want to. At that point, the film was going to happen, and I didn't want to be in a situation where, God, I got to scratch this thing and start from scratch. Forget about it. But and then I watched it afterwards, and the whole season. I really loved it. It wasn't an issue for me. It's a similar story on paper, maybe, because it's a guy who kind of has financial problems and his life starts to fall apart. But our approach is so different, I think, on every level. On a story level, because it's a TV show, it's a bit more extreme, and they push things a little bit further. I think our film, my film, is a lot more restrained and deals more with it's just a different approach, on every level. Also, the photographic level, like the color palette that they use. Breaking Bad is a very colorful, kind of like over the top, and a great show. And ours is kind of, I think, more of a cinematic version of that, So, but the comparisons are there all the time. I think people mention it all the time, but I think people that actually watch the film feel that it's a different film, and I'd like to say good companion to Breaking Bad.
Yeah, and it most certainly is a good companion, and indeed quite different. Once again, thank you, Sar, and best of luck with the film.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So, in case you really can't let go of Breaking Bad and can't wait for Better Call Saul and things people do don't cut it, perhaps a tour of the locations where the series was shot is the thing you need. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, you could do just that and even have a taste of that sweet, sweet blue meth, sort of.
The series has ended, but the famous RV from Breaking Bad is still alive and kicking. At least a replica of it is. This one isn't a meth lab, it's a tourist bus.
Hey, over to my left is the Crossroads Hotel, used in almost every season.
These fans paid $75 for the Breaking Bad RV tour. Brian and Kelly came all the way from New York to visit the series' shooting locations.
Matt, yo?
Matt. Blue Matt. The crystal, yo.
The highlight? The house of Walter White, the show's protagonist, a physics teacher turned methamphetamine producer.
I was obsessed with the show for a while, so now I'm in front of Walt's house. This is where the magic happened.
The guide knows what he's talking about. He was an extra on the show.
You guys can check in here. Now you'll make everybody mad back home.
And now that the show is over, he wants the magic to last.
They can't get enough of the show because it's gone. So what's the next best thing to do? Go to the city where it was filmed and see all the locations so that you can fill this void that's up.
Sandoval is not the only one to have built a business on the success of the hit series. This candy shop makes sweets which look just like the blue meth that Walter White, aka Heisenberg, cooks on the show.
I'm really the original Heisenberg.
It's the top sales item in the shop and makes up about 30% of its revenue. But will the candy survive the end of the show?
Of course it's going to slow down, but we'll always have the diehard fans that couldn't get here. Like, this was the first year after it ended, so we had a huge number of European tourists.
Thanks to Breaking Bad's worldwide success and to a 30% tax break for movie studios, many other productions have made their way to New Mexico. A recent study claims the industry has created as many as 15,000 jobs in the state. The new Avengers movie, a multi-million blockbuster, was also shot here recently.
You have productions that can come in and spend literally some very large productions in about 9 months spent close to $100 million. So that's money going into your economy.
More good news for the region. The Breaking Bad spin-off Better Call Saul about the original show's goofy lawyer is also being produced in New Mexico. It premieres in February.
In a moment, we'll see why the public libraries are making a comeback now. But first, our cultural recommendation for the day.
Balenciaga, Paco Rabanne, Elsa Schiaparelli, big names in the French world of fashion. People who came to France from far away to make a name for themselves. The Museum of Immigration History now goes deep into the world of immigrants who made an impact on the glamorous French fashion industry. These designers have left their homelands and used their talent to innovate and impact the industry in France. The new exhibit honors the creativity that stands for multicultural migration movements. Fashion Mix French Fashion Foreign Designers reminds us that the French fashion industry has been influenced by people from all over the world. A portrait of famous British fashion designer Charles Frederick Worth welcomes visitors at the entrance of the exhibition alongside creations of the British John Galliano and Vivienne Westwood, Tunisian Azzedine Alaya, and the famous Austrian Karl Lagerfeld, and includes a diversity of materials and treatments such as Russian embroidery of the 1920s.
And now Amalia Rosenblum, author and cultural commentator, is back in the studio to discuss, I think this is the sexiest subject we've ever discussed, the public library.
Well, you know, that you're wrong. That's, you know, I'm here to correct you.
Now, you're saying they're making a comeback.
They are. I'm not saying that, you know, going to the public library has become like a national obsession, but it is a growing trend. I mean, I'm not alone in that.
Are you using the public library?
Yes, I am, certainly, and so do my kids, and we're not alone in that. We have statistics from 2012 indicating that there are 1 million active, library members, which is...
That's pretty impressive.
Exactly.
We're still the people of the book.
Yeah, we are taking out about 12 million books a year.
Wow.
And, it's...
That's nice. So, I mean, let's look at the pros and cons, if you can
Or the
the
motivations of that.
Yeah. Obviously, it's free. It's a free service provided by the government or by municipalities.
I
think that's why people are using it more?
I think it's an important part of it, but not only in the technical sense of saving money. Like, I want to save money, I'll go to the library. I think it's deeper than that. I think it resonates with the global trend of, we're thinking differently about overconsumption. We don't necessarily want to just buy stuff and aggregate stuff, and I think that this is where the library fits in with that.
So conceptually, it's like recycling in a way.
Yes, exactly. I think we're seeing a rise in values about sharing, using, and reusing, and that's
so to put some distance between us and the new. We're we don't have to be hooked on it.
Exactly, and I think parents enjoy teaching their children that you can enjoy something without owning it. I think it's.
Well, the way I see it, I think that's a lesson most parents can also learn.
For sure, and I do think that another value that parents find in going to the library is the community, because libraries provide a third place, a third space for people to go to where they can be together. It's not work, and it's not home, and it's not about shopping. And so it's an alternative new place where people can meet, and the libraries have been renovated in many cities, and they have activities that bring people together.
Yeah, it's a good place to find refuge from the harsh weather that is outside.
Well, in the summer, it does become harsh,
It does. Yeah. So instead of a movie theater, check out
the shopping
library.
mall.
Or the shopping mall.
Exactly.
Amalia, thanks so much.
Thank you.
This concludes our edition of Culture Fort today. I hope you enjoyed watching our show. We'll be back tomorrow, of course. Join us then. But until then, we leave you today with the latest video from Swedish superstar Avicii. It's called The Nights. Came out yesterday, so here it is. Enjoy.
All our fears, learned our lessons through the tears, made memories we knew would never fade. One day my father, he told me, son, don't let it slip away. He took me in his arms, I heard him say, when you get older, your wild heart will live for younger days. Think of me if